Hey everybody, it's Caleb here. I just wanted to let you know that my audio is fucked up for the first 2 minutes of this recording, and it gets fixed almost right away, so don't worry, it's not going to be the whole episode. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy.
All right, guys, welcome to 3MFAers podcast. We are here talking about the movie Dune, the original movie Dune, with the new one coming out. I'm Brandon McPherson. I'm here with Caleb John Cushing and Joshua Stir. How are you boys doing today?
Good. What's up?
Hello. The spikes must flow.
It's so funny when we get onto the microphone.
It's so good.
We
So good.
chill.
All right, now I'm really excited. I'm doing okay. By the time this episode comes out, the show will already have happened. But as of recording, it's opening night tonight.
Yes. What time do you guys go up? 7?
Yeah, 7.
I'm excited.
7 EST.
I got my ice cream pints ready to go.
What flavor?
I don't know, some chocolate cookie dough, something or
Ben
other.
and Jerry's?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. That was the right answer.
As I watch the Scottish play, I will be gouging myself with ice cream.
Oh, just say it, you pussy. It's Macbeth. Just say it. I've never, like... I mean, we can cut that out or whatever, but I'm just saying...
No, what is the superstition? No, there's this...
I've never, like...
Why would we cut that out? We're not cutting that out. That was great.
I've never, like, you know when you guys did theater in, like, high school or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm assuming? Like,
I did not.
Okay. Well, when you do theater in high school, you get all these, like, weird, like, superstition things, and one of them is, like, you're not supposed to say Macbeth. Like, especially in a theater.
I think it's in the theater. You're not supposed to say it.
But people get weird about it anywhere. They'll be like, the Scottish play or Mackers or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
are you a child? Like, cause it's one thing, like, when we had, like, classics class and Chris Clavelli wouldn't say it. And I'm like, you're an adult.
You're
a
an
teacher
adult.
in an MFA program. Like, what are you doing? And it's just so weird. Like,
Oh, wait, guys, hold on. I'm sorry. You have to change the setting. Sorry.
So you didn't hear any of that?
It's going to be really soft
We'll figure it out later.
when it comes.
I'm not starting that whole thing again. But anyway.
Okay, we don't have to. I'm so sorry because that's gonna be hard to edit. Because I had the red one for the single.
Yeah.
Now it's on the. Is it on the Infinity side? Yeah. Okay. Great. Perfect. So you have opening night tonight.
Yeah, opening night for Macbeth tonight.
How has the rehearsal process been, on Twitch and all through that? I mean, it's got to be interesting.
We don't rehearse on Twitch. We rehearse on Zoom, which
but you know what I mean.
Has been a fucking nightmare. Like, I'm not even going to pretend that it's been easy to do.
Definitely.
But it's the only, like, I mean,
there's no choice.
You have no choice. But what it has allowed us to do is we've been able to work with people that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to. Like people that aren't in the city. Like there's people from all over the country in this production. And that's been super interesting and cool to be able to assemble a cast that like otherwise we would not have been able to.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, where's Muldowney? Is she not in New York?
She's in, our friend, another person we went to high school with is in the show, and she's in...
College, grad school.
Grad school?
Did I say high school?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I went to high school with Katie. She would have been a fucking ball.
It would have been
Oh,
weird.
my God.
It would have been weird if I went to my all-boys high school with Katie. That would have been interesting. But,
me
I mean,
too.
she could pull it off.
but no, sorry. I didn't mean grad school. But she lives in Carolina, in Charlotte now.
What?
Yeah. Sorry,
I gotta be a better friend, man. I gotta reach out and talk to people.
Love you, Katie.
Love you, Katie. I doubt she's listening to this, but
Yeah, love you, Louie.
and then so there's people in Texas, there's people in California, so it's been great. But then like scheduling through different time zones is kind of a nightmare. And so there's just lots of those things, and then people have shitty internets, and then people forget to unmute themselves and turn on their cameras, and it's just like a whole like so much bullshit that you wouldn't have to deal with. But also, you can have your script up and no one can tell. So it's like there's like pros and cons, and I think I genuinely, not just because I'm involved, but I do think that it's doing different things than like I've seen some Zoom shit and it's real bad. like the majority of it. But this is like, because it's being broadcast on Twitch, and Ilan, the director, who we also went to grad school with, not high school, grad school, is using this software like OBS, and he can do all of these like special effects and place people where he wants to place them. It's really cool. And I highly recommend, I mean, of course now, but what's cool about Twitch also is they save broadcasts, so you can go and watch the playbacks. Right. You don't have to catch it live. So yeah, go check it out. I'm sure it's fantastic.
Yeah. You know what's going to be really interesting about that is I wonder how that'll work out coming out of the pandemic for demo style stuff, because obviously there's a lot of Zoom recordings and Twitch recordings and that type of thing that we've just never seen before because it hasn't been necessary. But like this, right? That'll be a high quality recording of a full play of Macbeth. Is it not appropriate to take a scene from that? Like, why wouldn't you? You know, obviously it's like a different thing, but it seems like the chains have been moved that would be a definite option now, which is such a benefit, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely like in between a play and a movie. Like, it's its own thing. It's neither of those things. And I think that's what makes it cool. Like, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think it'll depend, because for me, you know, the home camera, like you need to, until everybody has like a super, almost like a Red style camera on their computers to kind of get that super high definition 4K. I'm not saying that those cameras aren't out there and the webcams or whatever, but I'm just saying, and depending, like when you say like taking a scene out of something, like if you're meaning more of a real type of situation, I wouldn't necessarily, because you don't know how that'll translate. You know how I fuck up by converting files and sharing them and figuring it all out. You kind of lose the quality, and especially with something, with the effects that Elon did for Midsummer Night's Dream, which I watched, were fantastic in the sense of spicing up what you're used to seeing, like on Bravo with Andy Cohen, you know, with he's just interviewing like the Real Housewives. You know, it really like the fairies were smaller boxes than King Oberon and Titania. You know what I mean? Like, so it's cool thing. So I'm really excited to watch tonight.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's definitely, this technology is weird. Like, if, you know, like, we'll see. I would love to, I look forward to, you know, watching it and doing it myself at some point.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. The world is changing.
The world is changing.
Sorry guys,
War
I have to,
never changes.
I'm okay, because I want to fill you guys in how I'm feeling.
Oh, okay.
So they started construction on the fire escape right outside my fucking window, and I have the doors.
Fire escape?
Not the fire escape, but like the wall, the building, right, like 3 feet away from the fire escape. Guys, we got to
fix this fire escape. It's
there's just a guy right out your window.
We need a whole construction crew to come get this, like tighten these screws. I'm sorry, Josh. Go on.
No, I wish it was that funny, but waking up at 8 o'clock to like the grinding.
I know.
And it's only because when I lived with Juanita and Marlon on 130 Water Street, it was the exact same type of construction that was happening like the last 3 months of when I lived there.
Oh, yeah, they were tearing that whole place up.
And last year when I was here, it was across the little courtyard to the other side of the building. And I'm just sitting here going, when I move in the summer, there has to be no construction or planned construction or remodeling or anything outside to the
New
surface.
York City, baby.
I was going to say, you got to get out of New York.
I feel like I've just, for 4 years now, I've had really bad luck with just really annoying midday. And I think that's just me because I don't have an actual like 9-to-5 job where I actually get up and I'm out of the house. That I have to do shit during the day in my apartment. But I have the window closed and everything like that, so we're good for the podcast and the recordings. I just feel it just really rubs me the wrong way.
It's annoying because it only ever starts when you need to either take a nap or record a self-tape. That's the only time they do construction in New York.
It's ridiculous. So, you know, other than that, I'm actually having a really good week. So just waking up this morning, I was like, what is this going to, like, how long is this going to fucking take now?
Dude, that's, I mean, I'm glad to hear that though, man. It's good to see people starting to have better and better weeks, and like I'm feeling it too, you know, and starting to pick up momentum in positive ways. Because I think all of us were just in a fucking rut of pandemic doom.
Now, I'm not saying I'm not still stressed because I'm still broke. and I'm still waiting for that unemployment.
Well, sure. Yeah, well, I mean, we're all broke.
But I'm saying, like, I talked to our friend Juliet, and we talked about just kind of where people are at creative-wise and where she's at, and where, I kind of expressed my feelings as, like, a director, creator, actor, whatever. Mm-hmm. And bouncing off of her, now that she's back in New York, it was kind of nice it kind of, like, settled me down a little bit. So I was really appreciative of, that conversation.
Yeah.
And, it's figuring out, like, changing that narrative in your head, It's the, everyone's doing their own thing, so don't be so mad that if somebody doesn't reach back out or something or other, like, just do your own thing and everything will work out. So
yeah, actually, can I what, if we're doing all this, there is something I want to say, because I've had a kind of interesting week like that as well.
Yeah.
And I've, like, the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking about a lot of things with acting. We all talked about this a little bit with so for the audience, I'm in Toronto. So the pandemic for the last couple months has been a little lighter. So I have been working at a bar, which has been fantastic. I love the bar. I love the people there. I've been working as a busser. It's tons of fun, but I'm working 6 days a week. So that takes up a lot of time for acting and all that. And I've had a lot of issues with figuring out what to do next and being okay with people being mad or upset at me because I'm doing what I need to do, because I have a lot of issues with wanting to make people happy. And so I've had a lot of issues with, trying to take time off for auditions or for work or whatever. And it just kind of got to a breaking point where, I had to make a choice. And my point for all of this is, if you're an actor out there, it's nobody wants you to do what you want to do, and that's to act. And you just got to make tough decisions and do what you got to do. And people are going to be fucking pissed, and you're going to get fired, and it just is what it is. So just do what you got to fucking do.
Yeah. Nobody who runs like a business in the traditional sense will understand what actors and people need to do to follow their dreams. It's the whole thing of, I'm broke, but I'm still busting my ass and saving a little bit of money because I still have to raise X amount of money for headshots. And people understand, like, well, why do you spend so much money on headshots? And it's like, well, because you invest that money into headshots that hopefully will, get you that job to help pay for them. Essentially, like, once you get going, headshots pay for themselves. Essentially, you get that big job. You always have like $1,500, $1,000 saved away just for a year, like, in case you need to get headshots. But
right.
It's the voice lessons, the dance classes, it's the workshops, it's the taking a weekend to do something unpaid just so that you can have somebody see a script of yours or a project of yours. And it's this time commitment that those that own bars, own businesses, that you try and do these temp agents, work for in the meantime, very seldom do they actually understand, where you're, what you're doing.
And I do want to say, I mean, I've been very fortunate where, where I work, they, even in a conversation I had very recently, they were very upfront, and they did understand. And it became just a very upfront, like, business conversation of like, okay, well, if you have to leave for this much amount of time, I have to hire somebody new. And I was like, that's totally fair. So it's interesting in with also what we do, kind of being able to, get to the actual point of a conversation and be like, look, this is where we're at. What can we do? How can I help? But it's also, just, I guess the point I want to make is, obviously as actors, we're highly empathetic, and sensitive. And so it's tough sometimes to be like, no, or I'm not doing that, or I have to do this, or to whatever. But it's important to keep it in your mind that if that's what you want to do and those are your dreams and those are your goals, you got to face it. And that reminds me of a quote that says, "I'm lost to everyone if I don't become who I'm meant to be," from the movie Dune.
I think that's Paul Blart said that, right?
Oh yeah, the mall
yes,
cop.
Paul Blart's King of Dune.
Yeah, that's Paul Blart.
Real quick before we get into the movie we watched this week, can you did you guys see the trailers for God of War Ragnarok trailer?
No,
well, I guess it wasn't really a trailer.
Fuck.
But like, there's a new Harry Potter thing coming out that I'm excited for.
Yeah,
that looks great.
How tone deaf do you have to be to release a fucking Harry Potter game right now?
What?
With everything
I know
going
it's
on?
I know it's taboo, but But like,
it's just funny. It's like because she's in the news again because that book she wrote. Did you guys hear about this?
No.
Yes. Can we talk? Yes, I did. Can we talk about that? Caleb, you want to give us you want to tell us?
So J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, which is fine. Okay, I like.
It's like one of the biggest franchises ever.
Oh, so it's big, so it must be good. Right. I'm sorry, I forgot. I think it's good.
That's what she said.
I think it's fine. All right, Brendan. I think that it is massively overhyped. They're charming movies. They're fine books. I enjoyed reading them as a child. I enjoyed reading them. When you're a child, it's fine to enjoy reading them.
When you're 10, 11, 12,
when you're a teenager, it's a little, and then you're an adult, and it's like, why are you basing your entire personality on a young adult novel? But
why do you watch anime still?
Because anime is great. So shut up. So anime's cool.
You're an adult.
Netflix made anime cool, Josh. Anyway, so J.K. Rowling coming under fire in recent months/years. I feel like this has been going on for a while at this point, but specifically in recent months, as very like transphobic individual saying, things that are not okay to say, and just in very disrespectful.
Again, somebody who should stay off of Twitter.
Yeah, speaking of somebody who should stay the fuck off of Twitter.
And just like generally the things that she's saying are so stupid and the equivalent of almost and maybe I've misunderstood the situation, but it seems like an equivalent of the same people who are like all lives matter. It's like that's not the fucking point.
Yeah, it's similar. It's like
right? It's like
if she says something to the effect of like if we acknowledge trans women, then that diminishes the struggles that quote unquote real women go through. And I'm like, well, first of all, fuck you. And second of all, fuck you again. And third of all, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So it's like
it's not about you. For 2 minutes, it's not about
just the way that she says real women, it's like, oh, you fucking
it's like my uncle saying, you know, Josh, like I may believe what you believe if I grew up where you did, when you did, whatever, but your dad and I grew up in the real world. It was like okay,
go fuck
cool.
Yourself.
Like,
go fuck yourself.
Like
Josh,
the real world. Like, I'm in the real world. I'm 30 years old.
Yeah, what do you mean the real world?
But with J.K. Rowling, I feel like it's like, okay, if you have these thoughts, like we're taught as actors to like follow impulses, but some impulses you just don't follow on because maybe you're a public figure that shouldn't be saying certain things.
But yeah, I agree. But just in the interest of time, so she goes onto Twitter and makes it seem like she I gave back. I like rescind my my humanitarian award from this organization, but they like took it away from her. And they came out and like no, we took it back. Like you didn't give it back to us. We fucking took it back from you, you psycho. So anyway, her new book that she wrote is about.
This is wild, Josh.
Is about a man who dresses up as a woman to kill people. So she's
doubling down. She's doing the Trump.
She's doubling down. So Paul F. Tompkins, who's one of my favorite comedians,
it's an active attack.
He voices Mr. Peanut Butter on BoJack Horseman and has also had a long storied career as a stand up. He's great. He has this tweet that I really love.
What podcast did we go see? Which podcast did we went to see?
Comedy Bang Bang. And Spontaneation, which is what Brandon and I went to go see.
So it was so good.
He's brilliant. But so he had a tweet that I really love about the whole thing. That's basically him being like, J.K. Rowling is like, in order to convince everybody that the dangers of trans people are real, I'm inventing a novel scenario to show my beliefs. It's like she literally like had to invent this crazy awful thing to be like, no, look, see, it is dangerous. And it's like, you are just a crazy person. It's
a real piece of shit move.
And it's so interesting because so much of discourse now is like, you have to respect both sides. But like, I hate this fallacy that like, it's always something in the middle, because that means that no matter how extreme one person goes or one side of the argument goes, like it's not valid just because there's two sides to it. Like she's wrong. And people that think this are wrong. Like we don't have to respect those opinions because they're ill-informed and like harmful to people. But
it's not even that. It's like, and obviously it's wrong, but it's not even just that. It's so blatantly narcissistic.
Yeah.
It's so blatantly not being able to step out of yourself for 2 fucking seconds to see that, guess what? This isn't about you. you know?
Right. Like you don't need to be part of this conversation. Like the only reason she's like part of it is because it's like a little bit, it's not the common thought. It's like, you know, everybody's entitled to their own opinions. Great. But there are opinions that just can't have the time of day. And when you have, bless his heart, Daniel Radcliffe, who like helps with like this organization, who's sitting here going like, you know, I'm not trying to take away the magic that the books had in people's childhood. Like, please keep that dear to yourself. But like, this is not okay. I do not stand with, you know, J.K. Rowling in the sense that like, when you're wrong, you're wrong. Like, just own up to it. Just be like, I apologize. That is, you know, I'm sorry, you know, and grow as a person. I don't understand why people can't just grow as a person, why they have to like double down on their stance.
Because nobody likes to be wrong. Nobody likes feeling like they're wrong.
Of course.
She literally was like, and this is actually literally like not hyperbolically speaking. She was the most famous, wealthy woman on the planet.
Yeah.
And like, squandered it. All that goodwill, decades built of becoming like one of the most quote unquote magical fucking beings of all time. And it's gone. I don't think I've seen that in my lifetime before. Somebody thought like, just like squandering all of their, what?
Monsieur Bill Cosby.
Oh,
Bill Cosby, sure.
But like,
isn't that a great, I mean, that's pretty, that's exactly what happened, right?
But he's like
that was fake goodwill.
He was like a criminal. Like he ended up.
He's a monster.
He's like an unequivocal monster. And I don't know if I'm willing to call J.K. Rowling. I don't want to equate her to a serial rapist. I think that's a little extreme.
That is fair. One is a monster. One is saying some stupid shit.
Saying some stupid shit that is certainly harmful, but I don't think she needs to go to jail or prison for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
But
is he still alive, Cosby?
I haven't heard anything.
I feel like we would have known if he.
I feel like it would have been parties in the
probably.
streets. But what I think that we should have known that J.K. Rowling was sus for a while because like she wrote a fucking book series where the main character's like ultimate dream was to be a fucking cop. Like
Harry Potter's dream was to be a cop?
Yeah, what do you think an Auror is?
Yeah, essentially.
They're like the fucking Gestapo of the wizarding world. They're the secret police. It's whatever. Sorry, I'll get on a whole Harry Potter thing. I like Harry Potter, but like read a different book. I don't know. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, it's the same reason why people like take that pilgrimage to like watch. Like everybody who's fans will read the Lord of the Rings series a little bit just to kind of like retouch. Like every few years, I'll read all the Harry
Lord
Potter
of the Rings
books.
Is like way better.
Sure.
What do you mean? Sure, it invented a whole genre.
Well, I would like to equate Dune. No, it's
anyway Dune.
Anything else? Like also the PS5 pre-orders came out today, but they're all sold out. Unfortunately, my roommate set all the reminders that he could buy either because I think the Xbox pre-orders start like this week as well. PS5 didn't realize it was going to be early. Didn't get anything.
The price is amazing though. It's mind blowing the prices for both Xbox and PS5. I was actually talking to my brother yesterday because my brothers are the only reason I've stayed on Xbox because we play things together, and he's gonna switch over, so I'm gonna switch as well to PlayStation.
Every game that I want to play is on the PS4. Like it's not even a competition.
I've never had more video game FOMO than not being able to play the Spider-Man game. So that was it for me. I was like, Xbox lost.
they did for sure.
The Spider-Man game.
But dude, it's like Spider-Man, but it's so many other things. Like they just
also God of War. I watched through the
like they have every game.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I've never played Uncharted. I've never played any Uncharted games.
That new shitty. I don't know if it's shitty. That new Avengers game, it looks kind of ass, but it's only on PlayStation.
Yeah,
I was watching.
What's interesting? I was. Sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and my roommate Antoine has, and I watched him play it, and it's a lot like Spider-Man, like in terms of the mechanics of it, but a lot less. You're not able to customize because you're trying to play like 5 different characters, you know. So the customization, because like in Spider-Man, you can build your own style of fighting, and there was layers upon layers of making it unique for each gamer. This one is very basic tree thing, and I don't know if they're going to update it. I don't know if, it's still like in the first 3 weeks, 2 weeks of it being out. So like, who knows? But like the graphics are okay on it. It's a big game, so I'm not squandering.
What did Antoine think of this story? Because so that was one of the things when it came out. I didn't realize. I thought I was watching like a trailer and stuff, but I was watching some clips of the story on YouTube, and it looked like a really good, like fully fleshed out story, which is more than I thought we were going to get for that game.
Yeah,
I thought we were just going to get like a smash.
I don't know that part because I don't think he's finished it. I think he hops around a bit. He's playing Anthem again for a little bit.
Nice.
but yeah, so I definitely want to get it at some point just because they are gonna tie in Spider-Man with it as well.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, it's a big endeavor, and we'll, who knows? But the PS5 is gonna be great. It's gonna be backwards compatible. So
it's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
I got some video game stuff. I picked up Zelda for Switch last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best games.
Is it not one of the best games you've ever played?
That's what I was gonna say. It really, 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 truly is. And the moment that that it clicked in how good this fucking game is because I love Skyrim. I was playing The Witcher 3 during the pandemic. You're running around, a giant rock golem pops up, right? And then I'm running at it, and I'm like, "Fuck it! I've never fought one of these things. Let me see what I can do." And when he goes to hit me and I run under his arm and under his legs and then I'm able to climb on him and there's no clipping at all. Mm-hmm. I was just like, this is everything I dreamed of as a kid.
It's very Shadow of the Colossus, like Skyrim.
Yeah, it's such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's Shadow of the Colossus. Like there's just
but Zelda world, but Hyrule.
Which is perfect. It's perfect for it. It's perfect.
It's perfect. It's so dope. So I wanted to get that out there because I'm blown away by it, man. I've been blown away. And then I don't know if you guys heard this rumor, but it came out yesterday that Nintendo and Netflix have been working on a Legend of Zelda series for a while. And the rumor is like every other rumor about every show coming out that is anything interesting, Tom Holland.
I don't
as
like
Link.
That. I don't like that. I don't know why.
These are super early rumors.
Negatively reacted to that.
I think my reaction just just like, what? No way.
Yeah, I mean, but then when you think about it, right? Because then when you think about it, if you're gonna do a movie, like let's say you're doing a blockbuster movie where it's Tom Holland level, he's one of the most famous people on the planet right now, one of the most working actors for sure.
Yeah.
He's in that new Netflix movie that just came out.
Apparently, it's great. Great.
I guess I've only seen Link in 8-bit on the Game Boy Color and then like Super Smash Brothers and things like that. So I don't even know how to cast.
You would need that not a famous person. Like it can't be Spider-Man. Like, you know what I mean? Because he's Link.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah, I agree with you. And also, it's not just that because he's killing it.
He's a fine actor, but I don't. Sorry.
I think he's a fantastic actor. But he's filming Uncharted right now, so he's about to be Nathan Drake as well. On top of Peter Parker, on top, you know what I mean? Like, maybe being Link isn't the greatest idea. I think you're right. Like, I think that's one where you go, like, Star Wars Mark Hamill style or John Boyega style. Well, John Boyega was getting pretty big before Star Wars, but...
John Boyega should be Link.
I'd fucking back that. I'd watch the shit out of that movie.
Dude, no, you need to get,
But like an unknown, yeah.
I want Mark Strong to be Ganon. You guys know who Mark Strong is?
Of course. Merlin and Kingsman.
All right.
I don't know why that's where I went. He's in everything. I don't know why that's where I went, but that's where I went.
So I know we're like, I hate this because we got such good conversation. I love this. Brandon, we can put a pin in this, but I did watch the Dungeons and Dragons community episode.
Yes. Okay.
Give me a week.
Yeah, we bought it, so I want Caleb to watch it.
We'll talk about it next time if that's cool.
Can we talk about it next time?
Caleb, you never seen it?
No.
Yeah, 100%.
I only saw the first season.
Yeah, so...
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's so interesting. Sorry, you've only ever seen the first season? Because it's directorially and like writing-wise, second season
I've said this before on the show.
Best.
Yeah, I've only seen the first season.
Yeah. So because I do want to talk about... Because I do have thoughts on that, but because of time, I'll have Caleb. Caleb and I can watch it next week, before the episode maybe or so, whatever. And we can kind of have like a full discussion because I think it's important too. So
right,
yeah,
man, 100%. I'm stoked on that.
But in the meantime, why don't we take a break?
Do you want to let's take a break and then we'll talk about Dune 1984. Remember,
Dune.
Fear destroys the mind.
You were so
whatever. I'm gonna go get coffee, and I'll be
Fear
back.
is the mind killer.
Fear is the mind killer.
All right.
Alrighty then. So Dune. Dune was
the spice
first
must flow.
Well, Dune the book was first recommended to me like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago by you, Caleb, because we were talking about the new movie coming out when they had first announced it. And then we were talking about the old movie, which I'd never seen, and the documentary. And then you were like, you got to read the fucking book.
Yeah.
So I read the book and I fell in love with it. Would not shut the fuck up about it. Came to Caleb every day with some new quotes. And just, I mean, I loved it. I loved it because also at the time, especially we were at a school and at a time in our lives where we were very much focused and our training was focused on how we think and how we control our emotions and all of the above and being aware. And then you're reading this book where, this kid is actively doing all of that. So that was wonderful. But in honor of that, we have all now watched the original Dune movie.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say for myself, and I don't know if this would have been the case had I not read the book, but having recently read the book, fallen in love with it, I had the greatest fucking time watching this movie. I expected to be so much more annoyed and pissed off, like just genuinely. And I just enjoyed the fuck out of it.
Cool, man.
You guys?
So I haven't read the book. I now have a copy, thanks to Ryan. Oh. So I will.
It's a sexy copy.
Look at that! I love that cover.
I like the Frank Herbert.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Soon to be a major motion picture. So I look forward to getting into the details. I was telling Caleb before the podcast, I first watch on Sunday, I did enjoy it. I sat down, I was like, it was its own little contained kind of thing. I had questions and, but I also had commentary from Ryan the whole time to like fill in all the blanks and all the details.
And Ryan's read the book.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Like this is one of his favorite movies, the David Lynch Dune. So, but he loves the fantasy, he loves the sci-fi stuff. And so I watched it a second time last night, specifically through the lens of if I didn't have somebody who actually had read it before beside me saying, "Hey, did you know this? Did you know that? Did you know this?" Would the movie in itself answer those questions that somebody who didn't read the book would have, right? And for the most part, I would have to say it did. I do have a list of questions that I still have, or that as a viewer of the movie, I had at the end of the movie. So I look forward to the discussion on that part. So I did like it as a sci-fi 80s movie. You know what I mean? So
yeah, well, I mean, I think I assume that we're going to end up getting into a deep discussion about the ending of the movie and how outrageously rushed that is. Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, I had seen like so Dune the novel is like one of the most important science fiction novels ever written. You have like Isaac Asimov, Ursula K. Le Guin, and like Dune. And I don't think that's hyperbole to say that. Super influential. Very loved and respected by everybody. So like when it comes out in like 84, yeah, it's not fantastic. I think that it is not a great movie, but I think that it's also not like horrible. No. But I think people were just needing it to be so much more than it was.
Oh wow, 1965.
1965 it was written. Yeah.
It was written.
But the movie
so that's almost 20 years after the book.
So you have all these people growing up on it, right? And then they come to see, and David Lynch, who by the way, coming off of shit like Eraserhead and The Elephant Man, like he's David fucking Lynch. So it's like, like who better than to handle this kind of trippy like psychedelic shit than the fucking guy who did Eraserhead. But then like you can tell, I don't know. I think this movie failed in a lot of ways.
The Harkonnens, I think the biggest way.
But I think that it has a charm to it, and you can see like in the designs and the feel of the worlds and everything. Like, there's something there buried under kind of the mess, like Brandon, you were saying, of pacing is like a huge issue in this movie. Did the weird like exposition of the fucking floating space heads in the beginning, and then like the special effects are really truly terrible. Like some of them,
but they were. But see, that was my biggest thing, because we had talked about this before, and I was like, how do you even attempt to do a movie where you have to do shields where they're like body shields in 84? And
sure, but not like that.
But it was better. But it was better than I thought it was gonna be.
Oh, really? I think those shields are easily like the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, but I expected so much worse from the shields.
Here's the thing. This is not even saying how often they missed the gun effects on guns. Sometimes they were shooting air without the special effects, and I was like, did they just like just give up at the end of editing and being like, all right, some lasers will be shown, but some just won't, and they were
sound wave guns.
Sure, but like when you have like people who like shoot these like golden sound wave lasers, and I'm assuming they all have the same weapon, but then there's some shots where it's just and there's just like nothing, but then who cares? Whatever, because they cut to something else. But like the layering of like the worms with the people and
so
like for the 80s, like it flowed pretty well for me in terms of, I thought I have qualms with the Baron and stuff like that, but Baron that's just Harkonnen. Oh well, can I ask my first, one of the questions that they didn't explain in the movie was, so the Baron, which is the tangible villain, I would say, in this movie.
Yeah. He's the primary antagonist for sure.
Primary antagonist. He's the Harkonnen, is right. I'm just trying to get the names. It's great. He's this acne-filled kind of fat dude, and if it wasn't for Ryan telling me right away that the reason why he floats and flies is because he's just so big, and that's how they portray him. They didn't ever like address that. It's just this guy who like
just like fly,
and then
around.
He just flies around the fucking space, and like it's like, why is he doing this? And it doesn't actually explain, because he also, with the costume or the heavy suit that he was wearing, didn't make him as big as what you would need, I would think, to in your mind to like have to fly.
It did, exactly. It didn't make him look like he couldn't get up and walk. Right. It wasn't like they made him look like he was 500 pounds. Also, I kept thinking about that when I realized that he was floating the entire time, because I thought they'd give him scenes where he was like just chilling. And I was like, oh man, this dude's got a lot of scenes, and it's 84. So he's just jacked up in a shitty harness this whole time.
Oh yeah, it's all wire work. And you can tell when he's like swinging around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like, look, for him and and removing everything and just going to that actor, he's putting out work. He's trying his best. He's gone, he's doing a 12 out of 10 on that character.
Okay.
I don't know that it works, but you got to respect what he's trying.
No, you know what? I unironically think that this is a great cast. Like,
even down to Sting as the
okay. Well, fake. Sting is a little. He's like, why is he the only one who's British?
He comes out and he's just like,
could not figure that out,
dude. Sting, it's just like, and I want to avoid talking about. So I also was like, hey, we should try to watch Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary too. And I want to avoid bringing that up as much as possible until the end. But it's just so funny, like the parallels between like what Jodorowsky wanted. Like he wanted to get Mick Jagger, and he wanted to get Orson Welles, and he wanted to get Salvador Dali. All of these fucking people, and then like they sort of like did similar things with the people they actually got, which was interesting. He wanted to get Udo Kier and David Carradine. All these to fucking
play
people.
Who?
So David Carradine was going to be Leto, coming straight out of Kung Fu. Orson Welles was going to be the Baron Harkonnen, because he actually was 500 fucking pounds.
Yeah, that would have been dope. And then it's also, Orson Welles. So
and Salvador Dali was going to be the Emperor. That
would have been cool too.
Yeah, Mick Jagger was going to be the Sting part, which I think was really interesting. Udo Kier was going to be the Brad Dourif part, and I thought Brad Dourif crushed.
Who's that?
Brad Dourif was Peter. He's the kind of the fucking, right? Peter's his name. He's the fucking like henchman to the Harkonnens, and he ends up getting. He gets killed by Leto with the tooth.
He's the human computer. That's another question I didn't really okay, just from the lore of Dune. So these people are not computers; they're as smart as computers, correct? I don't remember what they're called, but they have like the red stains on the lips.
Yeah. So the way it was explained, and Caleb, jump in here if I'm just way the fuck off and full of shit. The way it's kind of explained in the books is that, so we're talking about the mentats, right? And they're they're like they're supposed to be highly geniused up and also like super aware, somewhat like Paul and the whatever.
The Bene Gesserit.
Thank you. Right. That's about right. They're just they're bred to be that way, and
they're super smart,
spiced up, right? I assume.
But in the movie, there's like some exposition or some voiceover or some shit that kind of explains.
They
like
don't
their world.
Explain shit.
It's weird because for the amount of like exposition there is up front, they also still don't explain anything. Like it's just so crazy how you're just dropped in, and if you don't have any knowledge going in, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because it's not like you can go and like, so with Game of Thrones, right? And this might be a weird parallel, but like, stay with me. Like, you don't know necessarily what's going on right away, but you're like, okay, so there's an ice monster and there's a king.
Right.
And like, it's like, I can track, it's like similar enough to things that I've seen before.
Right.
Just because I don't know who everybody is yet, I understand the dynamics that are happening.
Yeah.
But with Dune, it's a fucking space society that's like also like a hierarchical, there's like a royalty, like a,
emperor.
what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Monarchy?
Yeah, there's like a monarchy, but also it's like a collective
it's also controlled.
Space Federation, and there's like spices, but like I don't. There's psychic people, and then there's robots. I don't understand. I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
But there's not robots. There's zero robots because robots are like banned. And
but there's like spaceships, but also there's like sandworms.
So I actually hold on. I actually did some research on this last night after watching the movie because I just I love Dune and then the whole world. So just to make it clear, if it wasn't clear, so what's happening in the world of Dune is there's all this Federation, space, blah 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 blah, Emperor, whatever the fuck. Way back, like 1,000 years ago or some shit, there was like a robot genocide where they destroyed all technology, that anything that was AI at all, they destroyed. Anything that was artificial consciousness or technology, they destroyed, which stopped space travel that was faster than light because they couldn't use any of the engines anymore because they needed AI. Then they start making those crazy monster fuckers, right, that we see out of the spice. Right.
That had weird looking mouths
right. And so what's happening is for the engines that they make, you need exact precise coordinates and like perfect math to be able to do the jump. And so that's what those monsters do. Mm-hmm. And so that's why they're bred, but they're only bred by like using the spice.
Melange.
So the spice is 100% necessary in the entire economy of the world.
And there's only one planet.
Only one planet with the spice.
Arrakis, which is
Arrakis.
Dune. Yeah.
Just Dune.
So
yeah.
Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, I'm just, in terms of the exposition, like, I got that they set you up, there's these different, like, factions. There's this world where it's Dune, and they do it brilliantly, I use air quotes, with the daughter of the Emperor fading in and out at the beginning.
So goofy.
Like, and I forgot.
And also one more thing. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I love the 80s so much.
I do too, man.
It's just like...
It's also dumb.
It's also dumb.
But like dumb word makes you smile, not mad.
But it's also one thing I'll push back a little bit is you can tell though, like they like went like Dino De Laurentiis went up to David Lynch and was like, "You got to fucking fix this. I have no idea what's happening. Like you got to put in a fucking floating hot girl to be like, hey, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Like
what world are we in?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. By the way, I have literally no idea what's going on. Yeah. And David Lynch is like, but you're not supposed to. It's supposed to be psychedelic. And he's like, yeah, but we want to make money.
Right. But then there's also that thing with they explain something about the Duke and his family have always just bred daughters.
Oh yeah. Oh, so by the way, also while all this shit's going on, there's also a super race of psychic women that are trying to breed a messiah. Right. It's like, what the fuck? How does this have to do with anything?
Well, but interestingly enough, during that they're not. I mean, they are and they're not. that organization's ultimate goal is to, but she's specifically told to only have daughters.
Well, no, but I'm saying,
do you remember the reason?
They want to they want to create the quote unquote super being, which is like a Jesus Christ allegory, like a Messiah. And they want to, the way that they're doing it, they say we've been manipulating bloodlines for centuries. So what they ultimately want to do is have an Atreides daughter marry a Harkonnen son to get those two bloodlines to be unified. And that is like, would maybe be the super being, maybe, or like lead to the birth of a super being at some point. But instead, the concubine of Leto is like, oh, I actually love him a lot, so I'm going to give him a son because they can decide to do that, I guess, because they're psychic. And then their fucking mother is like, you fucking idiot, he's gonna die because of the box, which like is so dumb because in the 80s it's just a fucking piece of plastic and you can tell.
Don't care.
But Kyle MacLachlan is like doing it. He's like, fucking, I believe that his hand was melting. He's so good in this part. I think Kyle MacLachlan actually kind of crushed.
And I feel like
I thought it was amazing.
Brandon.
And this is like,
just agreeing. Yeah,
I love Twin Peaks. I love him in Twin Peaks. I love him in Blue Velvet. Like, he's a great actor. And you know, Showgirls maybe not so much. But but I was, and you know, one of the things like this again, like everybody, like Jurgen Prochnow, fucking Patrick Stewart.
Like,
dude, the best mullet of the 80s.
Max von Sydow is in this movie. Like, it's fucking unreal, the people that they got to be in this movie. Yeah. And they are all good. Sean Young, I think, didn't get her time to shine. They kind of rushed. She was Chani.
Was she playing the mom?
No,
Chani.
She was the love interest for the
love interest. Right. Yeah.
Another question.
She's like, hi, I'm from Blade Runner. And it was like, okay.
That being said, like, but like the special effects with the melting hand, even like costume design, monsters, like I felt across the board like it was very clear who people were with the hair, with the makeup, with the costumes. I thought they designed the world very well.
Yeah, especially the sets.
The sets were great. It was all contained, even the practical effects of the floating heads, monster, like Flight of the Navigator type of shit. Which I might request, by the way, Flight of the Navigator. That'd be an interesting poll. I don't know. I don't remember that movie at all. But I have a question. So we've talked voiceovers, right? And we've talked. There are many movies that we've watched. You know that the two that are top of my head: Shawshank Redemption and what's the Western we did? Tombstone. Where there was like slight narration, voiceover stuff, and it always works, doesn't work, whatever. I'll be your Huckleberry. But in Dune,
well, it's different though, because it's not narrative voiceover. It's voiceover to like express current thoughts that are as they're happening.
Right, but why do they have to whisper the whole time?
Okay, well,
because it was creepy, and then half the time I was like, do people know that they're, for instance, like the when they first get to Dune, and he's like scanning all the housemaids or whatever. The shortest one, which I forget her name, she's super popular. She's the voice of Gaia in the God of War stuff. She's in pretty much everything. I forget the actress's name, but she has a thought about the family, and I was like, because I had to ask Ryan, I was like, does she know that Jessica is like a psychic, or is she just having that? Like, is she messaging her like knowingly, or is she just having the thought and she's picking that up? That was confusing to me because I wasn't sure what was being just thought or totally being told telepathically. Because they're not telepaths, right?
So this is what I was saying like last week, like adapting a novel to the screen is like fucking difficult because so much of a novel is like you're reading internal thoughts of a character.
Well, and also in a book like this, that is what's important about the novel, right? Is what sets Paul apart is his thought process.
So you have to hear the inner thoughts of these characters sometimes rather than just showing them, because then that's the only way you're going to be able to get certain information. Yeah. And the way I took it is like, okay, so when you're designing your soundscape, like you have like the audio, like when characters are speaking, like it's mixed to one way. But so then how do we make the audience know for sure that this is now inside their head? And so we're going to have them talk like this when it's a fucking voiceover. So that it's like, okay, they're thinking. And then like sometimes like the characters will be communicating telepathically, but like visually we can indicate like they're having a conversation but like when it's just them alone, like there's so many shots of Kyle MacLachlan going like, and like, I don't know. I thought it was like, it's a very crude way to do it, but like, I don't know how else they could have done it.
It just kind of made me chuck, like it made me giggle a couple times, especially when they're being captive and being like flown away or whatever after being kind of like after the Duke dies or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she's gagged and everything like that. And he's trying the voice. Oh, the voice is my favorite part. Oh yes, the voice. Go on, Paul.
But that was an interesting choice too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like they could have done a little bit more, but I understand limitations in technology and whatever, and trying to make it as clear as humanly possible for audiences who don't know about it. I just was like, are they telepaths? Are they interjecting thought? Oh no, they're just listening to thoughts. But are people aware that their thoughts are being heard? I don't know.
I mean, jumping on that 100% with like especially this witch stuff and kind of like being like, hold on, you can't just do random shit. His sister showing up at the end with no explanation in the movie of how she got there is the most ridiculous thing in the world.
No, she was there because like her mom drank the water of life and it forced her to be born, and then she gets all the powers from the High Mother or whatever.
No. I mean, literally how she's at the Harkonnens main place at the end of the movie with no explanation. I
just love her voice.
How she got there.
She grew quickly, Brandon.
Yeah, but did she teleport?
No. Again, thank you, Josh. She goes because
the Emperor comes to Dune, and the Emperor essentially is in his palace
they came to
on Dune.
They're on Dune at the end.
No, I understand that. Yeah. She goes from being like with her mom in like the cave system in Dunes, in like the the
deep desert
zones, the deep desert, to all of a sudden being in the throne room, and fucking with them.
She grew quickly.
That's not. No, what he's saying is like when
I don't understand why you guys don't understand.
Wow,
Caleb knows what I'm saying.
She grew quickly, and her powers grew quickly.
She grew through time and space.
Yeah. I don't understand. They're all hopped up on spice. They can teleport. They can fold space.
Wow. I will try and answer Brandon. I think what you're going.
Oh no, I don't think there's an answer.
There's an answer is that they cut so much shit out of the last 30 minutes of this movie.
That is clearly the answer, is that like they cut her fucking getting in a thing and going there. It's like, come on.
It's so crazy because like the first half of this movie, I would say, is like actually paced pretty well. Mm-hmm. And so I'm tracking the time and I'm like, we're already here halfway through the movie and this is where we're at. How are they going to handle everything else that comes after? And the answer is they don't. And they just do whatever they want.
and Josh, so like the book, like that copy of the book you have is the same copy I have. And so I don't know if it's always been this way, but it's split halfway through book 1 and book 2.
Well, no, there's 3 books in this book.
There's 3 in that one?
Yeah, because
then maybe my copy's different.
Because there's like book 2, Muad'Dib.
Yeah.
There's
and that's
book
like
3, The Prophet, and then there's 4.
There's 4 in there.
The appendix. So there's 3 books. Yeah. My thing is, they definitely rushed it because it's like he's awakened, right? The sleeper is awakened, Dad. Woot! But she goes from like when he drinks the water of life, and the whole thing is like when guys do this, they die. So I hope you're the fucking prophet, because otherwise I love you. And so they tie him up in the desert, and then all of a sudden, like the people who are the women with the mind,
the Bene Gesserit,
Bene Gesserit, their noses start bleeding, and even the daughter is like, "Mom, it's Paul. He's drank the water of life," and then all of a sudden he's back, right? My question, no, that's not really a question, but like, yeah, Caleb's right. They jump, but all of a sudden she's there and she rocks Baron's world. My only other technical issue, and I know that's really funny to say because like
there's a
few. Was when the thumpers. I love the idea of like the thumpers, right, to like attract the worms.
Yeah.
And by the way, the design of the worms I thought were great. I thought the effects of the worms were fantastic for like.
Did you like when Kyle MacLachlan was riding one? Like
I
a
agree.
Surfboard?
I did actually. I did.
Thank you very much.
I thought he looked cool.
So, but my question is
Very
like
He-Man, Masters of the Universe. Like
what he said to his mother. He's like, okay, if we run off rhythm, we should be okay. And I'm thinking, idiots, you're supposed to walk on the thud so it masks your footsteps.
You fucking moron.
So that they'll go to the thumper and not your footsteps. If you go off rhythm, then they're going to hear you and they're going to fucking whatever.
Bro, it was written in the 60s. People weren't that smart yet.
Okay,
God,
I'm sorry.
Josh,
it's like you don't even know anything.
Right. But then
Josh is sitting here playing 3D chess and we're talking about checkers.
Wow. But when they start walking as like the underground people, I don't forget what their names are, but
The Fremen.
The Fremen. But then the worms don't come when they're just like marching the desert. Like, do they have?
Well, they were walking off rhythm.
And like as one line.
I'm shaking my head at Caleb right now.
But again, so all of this though, and then totally fair, Josh, and I agree, because in the movie they just kind of do stuff, right? But in the book, all of this is so meticulously explained. Like do they
control the worms? Do they have like a control over the worms? Like those
he tamed a worm.
No, I know he did, but I'm talking about
the Messiah.
Right, I understand that. I'm so mad, but I'm curious as to does the free or whatever they call them, do they have like a kind of authority over the worms? Because they don't get attacked.
No, that's why it's a big deal when he does do it.
Yeah, it's more of a Mothers of Dragons type situation.
Sure.
Like only him.
Also, do you love how they take the obelisk of like the indestructible stone or like the adamantium of the world? Yeah. And he's like, hit it, kick it, yell at it. And then he's like, and then he does his little sound weapon thing and just explodes.
Yeah, which they don't like build up at all. It's like, oh, by the way, we can do this. And then everybody's just like, oh, cool. Like, it's so interesting that like, sorry.
So it's just the complete, like you said, my biggest issue was like, okay, now you're with the Freeman people, right? Mm-hmm. And where did you get 10,000 of these when we watched them all burn?
Well, no, because he got the plants. UA gave him the plants. Remember?
Yeah, I know, and I understand that. And I know that from the book. What I'm saying is, show a fucking scene where you're making them.
Oh no, because that would take too long, and we have to get to the climax of the Hollywood movie we're making.
So okay, so speaking of that, can I get to what? And again, like I really fucking enjoyed it. I all of these things because I read the book as opposed to being like, what the fuck is happening? You're putting it together yourself, which is almost more fun, right? As you're watching it, you're like, oh, that's that, and oh, that's that, and but
okay, all right.
You cannot have one line about all the reservoirs of water. Be like, we're gonna change the planet.
Yeah.
Not talk about it for an hour and a half, and then fucking rain.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that
fuck you.
Why is this possible? It's because he's whatever the fuck.
Because he's Jesus Christ. I mean, he's literally God.
But that's just the thing, and it's like there's a whole plan behind it that you just then ignore.
Oh, of course,
which is that was upsetting to me. Where I was like, oh,
it is hard to adapt a book.
Huge cut.
I get it. I think that like I want to say that David Lynch probably did his best, and like the studio's like, you gotta fucking cut some of this shit out, dude. Because at the end of the day. Like,
it seems like he filmed a 3.5 hour movie and they were like, you gotta cut an hour. And he's like, what the fuck? How do I cut an hour?
I cut a fucking hour. Did you like his performance, by the way? I like Lynch so much when he tries to act.
Time out. Who was Lynch?
He?
He's the guy in the sand harvester thing that they go rescue. He's like, the sandworm's coming.
Okay.
We can't leave all this spice behind. We can't leave all
this spice behind. It's just like, dude, what the? He's just so wonderful.
Well, we talked about this one time, Caleb, but my favorite thing I've ever seen him in, and I didn't even know it was him, it's season 3, the last 3 episodes of Louis is one of the best arcs I've ever seen, and Lynch plays this guy who they get to prep him to try to become a person for the Tonight Show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 3 episode arc where he's trying to get that job. And it's just super emotional, but there's an amazing scene with David Lynch where he's sitting there and Louis across from him. He's like, come on, be funny.
Yeah, be
3,
funny.
2, 1, funny, go. Come on. And it's like the most heartbreaking, real scene ever. It's unreal.
Yeah.
And I this came up before because one time we were dicking around and I was like, I think it was on the podcast and I started saying that to you and you're like, that's not funny. I was like, oh, you'd have no idea the reference I'm making. Yeah. I just sound like a piece of shit. So I had to go back and explain the reference and be like, no, hold on. It's this. But he's fucking awesome. He's great.
No, David Lynch. I mean, it's so funny that this is the movie. This is like the movie of his we've done so far instead of like Mulholland Drive right? Or like any of these fucking classics. And it's like, we'll do fucking Dune. You know,
I feel
one of the most hated movies ever made.
Here, I think that's a little harsh, but I understand the fans.
I think it is too, but like you got to keep in mind when it comes out. Like this is it's one of like the most anticipated movies ever. And everybody was like betrayed because this book meant a lot to a lot of people and it still does. And that's why like, you know, when I'm like, yo, we got to watch the new trailer, like this is like a big deal that they're trying. Can I
also ask a question? Well, there's the other thing that Ryan actually told me that didn't
so dope.
Come across the movies that Jessica's actually Baron's daughter or sister. There's like a family relation between Jessica.
I want to say, I thought cousin, isn't it?
The Baron's.
Yeah, they're related somehow.
They're related somehow, which they don't address. Although, like the red hair, I feel like it gives it away because
he also very clearly wants to bang her the whole time too. That's the whole
does
plot
he?
Because
I got a lot of gay undertones with.
Oh, he wanted to fuck Sting. Like, let's
be real.
When that boy comes in and he pulls the harp, also like that's what I mean. Some of the special effects
that's
in this movie,
so
like I said gross so many times out loud because they were just so good. Like the heart plug, I thought was like
the things that you can do practically were great.
Yeah,
you know what 100%. I mean. But then like the shield things and the spaceships,
of course.
It's like oh my god.
Again, we had talked about this before, but I thought the shields were going to be way worse.
I don't understand how it could have been worse. Like I don't.
You know what it was? You know what made it okay for me is because it was so the other way with it. Like because it looked so blocky, and I was like, "Oh, that's what you're doing? Okay, all right, okay, I can totally get behind that."
Why couldn't they at least like taper to make them look like humanoids?
Because the 80s, Josh.
All right, okay.
It's just so funny.
But you saw the trailer for the new one and how good those look, right?
Well, I actually just rewatched it before this just to make sure I was kind of clear. And before I go into that, though, I want to shout out to Toto who did the music and the score.
Yeah, how'd you like that score by Toto, by the way?
And
I did not know that, but I liked it.
My favorite is the dramatic like ending to with the rain and the why is this possible? Whatever to the like the piano kind of like keyboardy music for the credits with like the glamour shot. Kind
shots
of like all the cast and stuff. I thought it was such a 180, and it would just I was like, wow, of course this
they're happens. Celebrating because the movie's finally fucking over.
But that's the thing. Like, look, the second half of the movie just doesn't seem to care. You know,
they're trying to do way too much. Trying to do way too much.
The stuff that you actually want to know, the big questions, all of it. They just run through. You know what I mean? Like the water thing is such a big thing. Well, kind of a much bigger thing than them just attacking the Harkonnens and shit. It's like
because Dune has so much to do with like philosophy, and you know they borrow from Middle Eastern like they use words like jihad and crusade, like legitimately I've been saying this throughout the podcast, but like. The Messiah, it is like a Jesus Christ, like.
They
blatantly like that's Dune is like Afghanistan, like a very strategic,
every time they say,
place in the universe, and all these politics are happening.
I was saying Iraq,
and that's a layer of it, and it's like the ethics of everything that's happening, and then you have this empire, but then like who's actually in control? Like you can is this like as the spice people that control that?
Well, it's the one line that Paul says where he's like, once we stop the spice production, Arrakis will become the center of the universe.
Yeah, and so
like.
All of that goes away, though, like you're saying, Brent, to focus on the Atreides Harkonnen thing. Not that that's not important, but like there's so many other things that Herbert was trying to say with his novel, and that's why I think people are upset. Because like we were saying, Josh, like the movie that Lynch gave us, or like the studios made Lynch give us, rather, is a perfectly fine 80s sci-fi action movie. But Dune is more than that. And I think that's why people are upset.
That's fair.
And that's why people are fucking hyped because Villeneuve is a genius and the new one's probably going to be great.
Well, and I did rewatch the trailer, and like what Caleb said last episode of it, is that now watching like kind of the original source material in terms of like at least an attempt at the adaptation. I see everything like Caleb did last week of like all those scenes I recognize now, and I get all of the scenes and be like, cool, they're following the contents of the book down to the worm exposure at the end. But like it's gonna be great with like the costumes, and I feel like even the slight tweak, well, not slight, but like the actual changing of how the shields look, like they're more like hologram type of shields.
How they're supposed to be. Yeah,
it's fucking awesome. They look great, and I do look forward to now in December. This December, right?
I mean, who fucking knows, right? Yeah. Like it's going to be a thing that they want.
I have time to read the book, so when I read the book, I'll let you guys, when I'm done, I'll let you guys know.
What I do want to say about the new one is, and especially what we were talking about with the inner monologues and the inner thoughts and all of that, and I know we were talking about this before, but I do think Timothée Chalamet is the perfect casting choice for this role.
We'll see.
I know you don't think so, but just on the facts that his style of acting is a inner monologue behind the eye style of acting, very clearly, you know what I mean?
But it's not a hidden monologue because his thoughts are open to.
No, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I think he's going to be fantastic in it.
We'll see.
That whole cast is fucking ridiculous in the best of ways. It's unbelievable.
It's so crazy. Also, every single person in the cast has been in a Marvel movie. Like it's like actually insane.
Pretty much.
Or a Marvel or a Star Wars movie.
Or a superhero movie.
Timothée Chalamet hasn't.
Or a superhero movie. Okay, so everybody besides Timothée Chalamet.
So my question is, the guy who played the wrestler who plays Drax, is he the Baron or is he the beefy guy that eats the cow tongue?
His name is Batista. And
Robert
you will put
Batista.
respect on his name.
Sorry.
He's the bigger guy.
The bigger henchman.
Yeah, the bigger henchman.
Okay,
who was played by who played him in Lynch's? It's just some guy who clearly looks like he just like walked off of the set of The Sopranos. Yeah. Like just some big New Jersey guy who was like, "Hey, it's me. Yeah, we gotta go to Arrakis." Like I'm like, what the fuck?
It's tough to recognize, but it's actually Joey Diaz.
I don't think that's true.
Nah, how great would that be? No, but that would be the best.
I wanted it to be a Meatloaf, personally.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know in the new cast who's playing the Sting part. I don't remember reading who that was.
I don't know either, but like just based on it being the people that it's been and like how it was supposed to be like Mick Jagger and all that before, does anybody else feel like it's almost 100% Flea? Doesn't that seem right?
He's so old now. No, they would get the equivalent today is like getting like fucking like Chris Martin or something to do it. Like I don't even know who is like a younger like rock musician from England who like could do it.
Oh, you know who it is? You know who it is? And who's in everything? It's Harry Styles. But I don't think that really counts because he's kind of being more of like an actor now, as like a real actor.
That is so strange.
I unironically would love it if Harry Styles this movie. He's not a bad actor.
No, he's not. He just got cast in Olivia Wilde's next movie. I think it is the next one she's directing. And interestingly enough, it was supposed to be Shia, but there's a scheduling conflict, so we had to drop it, and they replaced him with Harry Styles, which is very very interesting change. He is the man. He's the shit. He's one of the best actors on the planet.
Shia LaBeouf. He's definitely very good.
Ryan just showed me the video of like the gay men's chorus, like Shia LaBeouf.
You've never seen that before?
Shia LaBeouf attack? I don't know. It's like it's a weird video. It's funny. I'll show it to
you. It's Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
And he said that Shia's been like, I think it's funny. Like I don't know.
Dude, the music video. Have you not seen the music video? The whole thing happens, and it's just him sitting there in the audience, just alone. In front of them, and then he just gets up and starts clapping. It's the greatest thing ever.
I like him because he's down to make fun of himself. He doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yeah.
But sorry to bring it back. Just because I know that we're going on a little bit, but you guys got to watch the documentary.
I plan on to.
Jodorowsky's Dune,
100%.
Because Alejandro Jodorowsky, just to like give the elevator pitch, he made El Topo. He made The Holy Mountain. Very important experimental films from Mexico. And is truly like, I mean, he talks about like he's a little out there. He wanted his film of Dune, his adaptation, to be a messiah in a way. Like he wanted to expand people's consciousness. He's like, I want to recreate the effects of LSD without having people actually take LSD. I want to expand people's minds. I want to create something beautiful and important. And he's so passionate, and the way that he talks about his art is like, he's just so, like, I believe him. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, you would have made the best movie of all time. Like, there's no question.
Oh, wow.
And he talks about getting his team, and he got, like, the team together that eventually would go on to make Alien, like Dan O'Bannon and H.R. Giger, like, you know, like his fingerprints. And they interview these film critics and directors, and they're like, you can tell that, like, the movie never got made, but it was still the most influential movie of all time. The way that, like, you know, they took like stuff to make Star Wars. Like, Star Wars wouldn't have happened without the work that he did to make this movie. Alien wouldn't have happened without assembling the team to make this movie. And then Lynch, like, all the movies that come from those wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just so wonderful and charming. And yeah, he talks about the cast, like Mick Jagger, like, and he's like, he's like, I went to the party that Mick Jagger was at. He came directly to me and said, I want to do your movie. Like, he talked about, he like insulted Pink Floyd to their faces and like, oh yeah, we'll do your music. You're cool. Like, it's just like fucking like crazy how he was able to do everything. And the only thing that stopped him was money. They just didn't have enough money. And like, he has this storyboard, this massive fucking book. I know this is a recording, so you can't see me, but it's so thick, like huge. The entire movie is drawn, like frame by frame. And so Nicholas Winding Refn, who directed Drive and a bunch of other great movies, he's interviewed, and he says, so I've been to Jodorowsky's house in Paris, and I've read that storyboard, the original copy, and had Jodorowsky narrate the movie as I did it. It took like hours. And he's like, so I, in a sense, am the only person who's like, quote unquote, seen his Dune. And I tell you, it would have been the best movie ever made. Like, and so Jodorowsky at the end is like, somebody should take this when I die and just animate it, because you can do that now. And now I'm like, fuck. Like, now I want to, I just wish that like money wasn't such a thing.
Right. Well, it's so interesting. Like, I was just listening to an interview last night with what's the main guy from Monty Python? Not the main guy, but
Terry
John
Gilliam?
Cleese.
Or
John Cleese, other one. Yeah. So they were talking about Life of Brian, and so first they had made the Holy Grail or whatever the fuck for sorry, they had made the first one for like $400,000, you know, which was nothing, and then they wanted to make Life of Brian, and nobody would give them $2 million to make the movie. Like, they hit all the studios in Britain, came to the US, Hollywood. Nobody would give them the money to make the movie. And so they all started to split up. They were going to go do other stuff. John Cleese had another movie, and their agent ran into George Harrison one night, and they were friends. And he goes, he gives him the script to read just for fun, because he was a huge fan. And the next day, the agent gets a call, and he's like, I'm going to put up the money. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm going to put up the money for the movie. He's like, what? Why? He's like, I want to see the movie.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the best thing in the world.
George Harrison really was the best Beatle. Like,
yeah,
for so many reasons.
Just like that, I want to see the movie.
Yeah.
It's like the greatest thing in the world.
That's sad, because the way, Caleb, it seems like you're very like, I look forward to watching the documentary, because
it's just incredible. Like, I love, I mean, I don't know, this might sound dumb, but I love art, and I love when intelligent, creative, and passionate people talk about what they're passionate about. Like, Jodorowsky is a fucking psychopath. I don't know if you've seen The Holy Mountain. It's bizarre. It's just a trip into your own mind, psychedelic. But like, he knows what he's doing. Visually stunning, very creative. And he's just like, you talk to him and you listen to him speak, and you're taken with him. And it's like, he convinced me. He's like, let me convince you that I could make the most important movie that would change people's minds, the way they think and how they look at things. And I'm like, he could have done it. I fucking believe him. And it's just fun to, like, all the other people that were interviewed, like, you know, all the people, he's like, yeah, I was just an artist, like, working on comics, like, underground. And I guess Alejandro read my comic, and he's called me. He's like, hey, move to Paris and work on this movie. He's like, okay. Like, it's just the way that he's able to, he got Salvador Dali to be in his movie. Like, you know, it's just fucking insane. And it's such a wonderful documentary. And I just encourage you guys to watch it.
Cool, guys. Are we ready?
Yeah.
I think we are.
Brandon, you're up.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's hard to split it up because I've fallen in love with the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole universe that has been built. So on that, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 because I did thoroughly enjoy it. You know, like I enjoyed it for what it was. Yeah, let's just. No, I'm changing my mind. I'm gonna give it a 3 because I can't abide by some of the editing stuff. 3. I'm giving it a 3. I'm giving it a 3.
I gave it a 3 as well. It was enjoyable. I'll give it a 3 for what it is from the 19, and the time it came out to as itself a contained thing without any back knowledge of anything in the world. It would have been if I was a kid in the 80s, it obviously would have been a fun movie to go see and like cool sci-fi.
Yeah.
So 3.
Guys, you're not going to believe this. I gave it a 3 as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like I see the version of the movie through the bad editing and like all of the stuff that I think could have been like there's some good stuff. I think all the performances are pretty great. Like, but yeah, it just like the second half or maybe even like the last third, somewhere in there, like it just becomes so not what it could have been and it gets really rushed and kind of sloppy. And yeah, there's some bad special effects but it's fun. I don't know. I enjoy it. I think it's fun, but it's also kind of a mess. Yeah. I don't know. And that's okay. Not everything has to be 5 or 1 stars. Like sometimes things are just okay.
No, it's literally just like, it's like the last half an hour should be an hour and a half. That's the problem.
Yeah. It's it's like the point from when they meet up with the lost people in the desert or whatever, the freers, whatever, to the end, it just is so like, it's just clumped together. It's very rushed.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Like, I don't know what the ending point for the newest movie is going to be, but I almost hope that they cut it short. And because I know they're planning on doing more than one movie. So I'm hoping that they cut it short.
Do you think they would cut it to like the point of like the death of the Duke and them being exiled?
I think that the way they should do it is they should go up until like the surprise attack on House Atreides and
yeah, I think you end it with, if it was me, right, and let's say you're going to do 2 movies, I think you would, or 3 movies, or however you're going to do it. You probably don't need to do 3.
No, you can do it in 2.
If you, I would do the split just as they meet the Freeman, right? To say it's all the same. You run across that big moment with the fucking worm, the first worm, and then like that's what I would split it.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I mean, that's where the books split,
they have that last scene of the trailer is the worm chasing them kind of like in the desert. So we'll
come back in 6 years for the part 2.
Cool. I think it's me.
Josh, it's been so long.
It's been so long since I requested a movie. And just like Dune, I'm going off of a movie that we had briefly talked about. Death Becomes Her.
Oh my gosh.
Because I haven't seen it as a gay man, and I know I need to.
Directed
by Robert Zemeckis. Just who are we making fun of? Who Charlie Kaufman made fun of last week, and so we're gonna see one of his big movies from '92. With Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn, Isabella Rossellini
from Big Night. Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be.
There's a lot of dope people, so that sounds dope.
It's on HBO Max.
Is it? Cool.
How is HBO Max? I'm in Canada. We don't have it. How is it?
It's fine.
Something that you don't have that we do. Yeah. You have your health care. You have your working government, functional government. You have, an open culture in cities because you guys took the pandemic seriously. But we have HBO Max, motherfucker. And that's what really matters. All right?
All right. Well, the interface is okay. To answer the question seriously, no. I mean, it's fine. It's just it sucks because it's not on any of it's not on Fire Stick. It's not on. I have 2 Roku TVs, and I wish I could have a channel.
That's fucking annoying.
So
how is that? How did they not immediately have that ready to go?
They never reached a deal because it's all about money, like we always say. So I have it on my PlayStation, which is fine.
Yeah, but that's just dumb on their part.
It's just I'm sure at some point they'll open it up, but yeah. So Death Becomes Her next week.
Dude, I'm excited. I'm excited for you.
Stoked.
I told my roommate what we were watching. And he's like, one of my favorites. I'm so excited you're going to watch it. I'm sure a lot of my friends out there are going to be like, really? You're just now watching it?
Hey, better late than never, my friend.
That's true. So
Brandon, you want to take us off?
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to 3M Affairs podcast on Dune.
1984.
Feel free to add us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, check us out anywhere that you can find podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, any random podcasting apps that you can find. We are there. So check us out, subscribe, like, tell your friends. And if you have any recommendations for future movies or questions, please hit us up. We're going to start working that into our programming.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm on all the two major ones, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me through I post things on my Instagram at stir_Joshua and Facebook about the podcast, editing, and things like that. So it's been a fun time. And yeah, definitely comment. We would love movie suggestions at this point. You know, I mean, we can go through the whole list of things, but user input would be great. And keep tuned because hopefully one day we'll get a nice video streaming kind of going so you guys can all participate.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much.